Labas.
We make them take Lithuanian classes before we agree to let them become panelists here. So, all right, well, welcome. How is Lithuania treating you guys?
It's been great.
Beautiful city. Well, Vilnius. Beautiful.
We've explored Vilnius so far. We absolutely love it.
So, all right, so we'll do a little bit of chatting, and then you guys, if you have questions, please, there's a microphone in the middle. Feel free to jump up at any time, and we'll ask. Okay, but I just want to start right away. I want to get the question out of the way that has been bothering me. I was reading one of your interviews, and it said that one of the things that the three of you had tried to do, you're thinking of something to do, and you're trying to figure out a live action show. And yet all three of you met in animation school. So why were you making the jump to live action right away? Why didn't you start with the idea of animation?
Oh, okay. I think I see what you're saying. We never wanted to do a live action show.
Okay.
But we wanted to interview actual people, and we did want to possibly film it for reference. But the idea was that we wanted real people talking about their super boring, mundane jobs, and we wanted to put our characters, on top of it and animate them as the ones saying it. And that was kind of like the original idea. We were gonna have like a longer form video with these fake interviews of animals with real people's voices coming out. We wanted to go to like our local grocery store or like a local coffee shop. And once we had this idea that like we would have these animals talking, and then we would cut to footage of them working or like, doing whatever. And we just decided to start with that footage. So we had like a shot of a squirrel walking down a grocery store aisle, and like a shot of a bat, like, putting like cans on a shelf. And we were like, let's just post this online. I don't know if we're ever gonna do the full thing, and we have these two shots, so let's just roll with it.
And we sent them out to friends. Like the bat echolocation one was the first one that we sent out to friends. And people didn't really get the joke because they didn't know what echolocation was. So we added the little caption explaining echolocation, and that's how we got the fun facts.
Okay, so I mean, it sounds like you know Nick Parks?
Do we what?
Do you know who Nick Parks is?
No.
He's an animator. He does Wallace and Gromit.
Oh yeah, it's like Creature Comforts.
Creature
I'm sorry.
Comforts.
Yes, I didn't know the creator's name, but yeah, Aardman.
Right. Yeah, Aardman. Right. So right, the idea there also, right? You interview people and then put it on top of animal.
We didn't know what that was until like a year ago or something, and we're like, oh, well, they did this way before us, and maybe it's a good thing that we didn't end up going that route.
You look like you were going to say something.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, yeah, we learned about this about like a year ago. And yeah, luckily, I think our style is different enough.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But what he just said.
They ran so we could walk.
Well, okay, but that brings up a really interesting question is, what are your influences? I mean, you all went to film school, animation school, where you get a lot of theory and stuff, but what got you there in the first place, and then who are your influences then and now? That's a big question.
If you want to talk about the animation style.
Oh,
look.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, I definitely think like a huge influence for me is like the old like Winnie the Pooh storybooks, like the original ones, and like Frog and Toad, and like The Wind in the Willows, if any of you guys know that. Just like these very old children's stories with these like very cute, like, they're like these very like calming, cozy like images. And it was something that, I don't know, just kind of like appealed to us, and we thought it'd be funny to just have these characters kind of be jerks to each other and like, kind of not in a cozy environment, like maybe they're at an airport or something. Like that's the opposite of comforting. Sorry, you go.
Yeah, I think, I mean, some of the shows we were watching around that time were like How To with John Wilson, which is what inspired, I think, the documentary style at first. What else would I say? I guess in terms of our humor, I feel like, at least we grew up with, like the early 2000s shows like SpongeBob. I feel like just anytime you see like a cartoon character screaming, we've probably watched that and we're influenced by it. I know we're constantly quoting Shrek and Shrek 2. That's a big one for us, especially the idea of like a fairy tale, like these innocent creatures just kind of being flipped on its head and kind of in like a nastier state of mind, or just just in a weird, awkward situation.
We probably reference Shrek 2 once every time we start writing a new video.
Completely, just like subconsciously. It's just we'll realize later on that was Shrek 2. Yeah.
And it's Nicole's job to go, that's Shrek 2. You guys can't use that.
We actually do use a baby cry from Shrek 2 in one of the first videos.
It's awesome when people like recognize it, and it's like, how do you remember that?
So earlier, do you go back even further to more, go back to like Looney Tunes or those kind of things, or Fractured Fairy Tales, the Rocky and Bullwinkle, that kind of stuff, or is that too far back?
I think for us, we actually try to avoid that, like when we can, just because what I think makes like our kind of like framing device is like, these are cute little cartoon animals that are doing very human things, and we try to avoid making them like too cartoony. Like sometimes we'll think like, oh, what if like these two characters like get into a fight and there's like a big like dust cloud and there's like, like limbs coming, and we're like, no, this is too Looney Tunes, like they should, kick each other or something, like whatever. So
you bring the realism back into it. You don't want to go with like that Tex Avery, ooga kind of
exactly, yeah.
kind of thing. Okay. Now what's the process like? How did you all meet? And I mean, what prompts you to all say, all right, let's make a cartoon together?
Well, we all went to the same school. We went to Florida State University, and there's a film program there, which is very small, but even smaller is the animation program. So there was only, about 8 of us? Yeah. And we spent a lot of time together. And then we all moved to New York, and we're working at the same company for a while, and we all lived together.
The 3 of you, not all 8 of you.
We were, the 3 of us were the same person for like a year. So we were just living the same exact life.
And so doing animation in New York, or?
We were working in the advertising industry, so sort of animation, but more like animating beer ads or...
It wasn't cool advertising. It wasn't like Mad Men.
Okay. So did your degrees help with that? I mean, is this full-time? Is Natural Habitats a full-time thing, or are we still working?
We're still working. We're hoping to make it full-time soon, but I'm still working in the advertising agency, so is Tyler.
I work at a little game studio.
Give us money, please. Thank you.
Go to their booths, buy their stuff, download their videos.
There's nothing to buy.
There's nothing to buy. Sorry.
We'll give you a free poster, yeah.
Next week they'll have merch. It's after the convention, but next convention you guys will have that all taken care of. So all right, let's talk about styles. I know Tyler, you're not as much of an animator as the other.
Awful.
You're awful.
Quite awful, yeah.
So how do you divide the work?
Well, okay, you know what? I shouldn't say I'm awful. It's just next to these two, I am certainly awful.
He's awful.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we covered that. Yeah. No, I mean, we still had a lot of like writing classes, and I still watch a lot of animated material, so I keep up with them whenever I can. And yeah, I mean, the writing process is, where I am truly involved. Sometimes the editing process. But yeah, when it comes to thinking about the actual just like the blueprint, the layout of how things are going to look visually, that's just not my department. They just have a way better idea in their heads. I mean, Brennan's got the characters down pat. Nicole has, just like the art directing just naturally in her. So, I'm just along for the ride once we pass the writing portion.
So they've got coattails and you're just hanging on for dear life.
Happily.
Okay.
I'm their biggest fan during that section.
Well, but how is there a lead on the team? Is there somebody that we defer to as this is the boss, or how does who comes up with the ideas, and how does an idea go from an idea to a finished piece? What's the process?
Well, they're Brennan's characters, so I feel like he is the true creator.
I wasn't going to say it. No. I was going to say in the writing process, there's definitely no lead. We all have a very equal say, but because I'm the animator, if I don't want to do something, it's just not going to happen.
Well, do you push yourself, or do you stop and go, no, I'm not gonna do that. Rewrite that.
It depends how much time we have. Usually it's not much. Like sometimes, like one of them will be like, oh, like what if we have this other character walk in and like do something? I'm like, no, I'm not gonna animate that.
Have they ever come to you with, all right, we're all friends, right? They can tell secrets. It's not gonna leave this room, right? Okay, so what, he's dangerous. What's some of the most bizarre things that they've asked you to animate?
Oh man, I honestly, nothing too crazy. I'm trying to think of like maybe something like a suggestion, because the thing is, we're working on our videos like up until the night, before we post them, and we're constantly changing them, like, trying out new lines, trying out.
Probably Mouth doing something super demonic that we end up just scaling back.
Yeah, I think we had some pretty crazy ideas. Oh, okay. I thought it died for a second. We've had some pretty crazy ideas, but I wouldn't say any of them didn't happen because of like budgetary reasons. I would just say like, I don't know, sometimes you guys will be like, oh yeah, what if we have this character like like for the koala video, it was so simple. We were just like we had the flight the next day out here, and Nicole was like, what if the koala like went to pick up the fork at the end and like, stab the lettuce? And I was like, it's like, do we really need that?
If I give a suggestion, I'll be like, you don't have to animate this, but it might be helpful.
Yeah.
I mean, the limitations there, I think, help us a lot. Just only, having 2 weeks. Although, I mean, things could obviously be polished more, but I think what helps a lot is that we're kind of on a strict schedule. Otherwise, we just get lost and miss our deadline every week.
The creativity of constraint.
Yeah.
Right. So, okay, along those same lines. Now, you said that they're Brendan's characters. So he came to you. You guys were all sitting around one day, and he's, having pizza, and he just draws these things and goes, hey, look at this. Let's do something with this. And you go, okay. Or were you actually working and brought them in?
I just drew the characters like years before, and we really wanted to do something creative, and we didn't know what else to do. And it was like right during COVID, and we were like, damn, like these frontline workers are getting screwed over right now. Like, I would love to hear their take on, the situation, how, shitty their job is right now. And you're like, it'd be funny if the animals were the ones saying it. And I guess that was it, yeah.
That's how it starts. But so what kind of research then you said you want to get their take on it. Do you go and call a first line, worker and say, here, I've got a platform for you? Or how do you bring those voices in, or do you anymore? Now, is it more these are things that we want to hear them say, or do you still kind of look at the outside world and bring that in, if that makes sense?
A lot of it is our own personal experiences. We've all worked like part-time jobs or in customer service, so we can bring those memories back in, or just, I don't know, thinking of a relatable moment that everyone has gone through.
Yeah, that's usually our goal, like Seinfeld with animals.
So do you think that, in 2 weeks, 4 weeks' time, we're going to see the animals at a convention?
In what sense? Jack.
I mean, look, I think we got a little bit of inspiration just from meeting some fans here.
Yeah?
There's some nice quirky fans here.
That's what I'm saying. Are you making
I thought
notes?
you meant the animals were going to come to this convention in a couple weeks, like in the real world.
Can we do it, Jack?
Go.
Can we do it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, maybe not right now. Okay. I don't have the energy.
All right, no, I don't. But in the comic, in the cartoon, would the animals go or deal with a convention, right? You know, is this going to show up?
Some of our fans have given us some pretty good ideas.
Yeah. So do you walk around with notebooks?
No, but we should.
This is like school, right? We're telling you how. All right, you should do this. You should make sure you have notebooks with you, and right.
I do think, though, because we do fly a lot, and I think we all end up writing down quite a few ideas while we're flying. We have a lot of travel videos, if you haven't noticed, and we try to do at least one a year, usually around, you know, our Thanksgiving, because everyone's traveling in the States. And yeah, I think we all independently are like, you know, here's another reason traveling sucks, you know, and yeah. So most of our notes are just on our phone.
Okay, not airline napkins and Southwest. So, all right, well, how do you guys communicate then, now that you're still living in New York and you guys are back in Florida? Is it scheduled meetings? There's a lot of emails back and forth, a lot of Zoom calls?
We have 2 cups and a really long string.
Really long string.
Yes. It's been working. It's been working.
Yeah, I understand. You've got a call.
You know, I mean, we call each other probably on like Monday or Tuesday. I feel like that's usually when we do. We'll just text each other like, brainstorm? And then we'll just spend like a couple hours just thinking up ideas, looking at fun facts and laughing at them. And then we'll wait like probably like 20, 30 minutes to see if it's still funny in our heads. You know, because sometimes we'll have like a really funny, you know, moment that just the next day we're like, that was the stupidest idea ever. Like, we need to burn this idea. But yeah, no, we usually, just start with a brainstorm on like Monday, Tuesday, and we'll panic and then something will click.
Yeah, we are the most disorganized, like, studio, if you want to call it that, like, that has ever existed. We don't plan anything other than we have to do a video by next Thursday.
Yeah, we always post, when we need to, but everything else is just so disorganized. But it's been working.
Has it?
So far.
We're here. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like, an idea will change, like, from day to day. I get very insecure about the ideas, and I'm like, I don't think this is funny anymore. And, you know, well, like we had a video, it was like 2 videos ago. It was the one with the axolotls, and it was really not that funny. But then it was not, and then we figured out the Mazel Tov line, and then we're like, that's funny. And then we finished that video at like 1 a.m. the night before it was posted, and it was not funny until we figured that out.
You called me at like midnight, just like, Mazel Tov. Mazel Tov. I'm just like, thank you?
So how do you find what's fun? I mean, you know, the 3 of you obviously have very similar senses of humor. Obviously, otherwise it wouldn't work. But do you, like, who are your comedy heroes, and how do you decide what's funny?
Usually it's if all 3 of us think it's funny, then we know it's a good idea. We do send it to some friends and get their opinion on it. But yeah, usually it's not funny until like the day before.
Do they ever come back with, oh, no, don't put that out?
Never before, but I kind of wish they would.
Okay.
We've definitely gotten feedback that's just like, this one wasn't as funny. At least I get
your
that.
friends.
Yeah, your friends are ruthless. That's a good thing. But you know, as far as our comedy hero goes, there was at one point where, when we were living together, the 3 of us decided to each pick a show that we should watch together. And so, like, we each picked our favorite show, pretty much. And they'd never really watched Adventure Time.
I had watched Adventure Time.
You'd seen some of it, yeah.
I was a big fan.
Yeah. And then, Nicole showed us Sex and the City. Yeah, and then Brennan showed us Dragon Ball Z. And I think that there was just takeaways.
Greatest comedy.
Oh, there were a lot of comedic moments that were not meant to be funny, but they were very funny. But I think that just like us spending time together watching the same stuff just helped our just like personalities and like comedic timing, and things just started forming more between us. I don't know. I think that's like a good note for those just like to watch similar shows. I think that just helps like build the same inspiration and ideas. And
have any of you tried to work solo? Not obviously not on this, but have you tried? And is it better to work with the other two? Nicole, is that?
I think we all have our own like personal projects that we work on, but at least me personally, it's never like writing. It's always doing my own art. I don't think I could write something cohesive just by myself.
I'm the same way. I'm really a 3D artist. Like that's what I went to school for. So I do a lot of 3D stuff on the side. But yeah, writing is, I don't know. I feel like comedy is something that, at least in my opinion, you need to have people there, because obviously if you think something's funny, like that's great, but making other people laugh in the room with you is like really like, I don't know, kind of the chase of comedy, you know? And so when you're writing comedy, I feel like it's way more fun and way more like engaging to do it with other people.
Well, I mean, comedy is there's a dynamic to it, right? I mean, writing comedy by yourself gets hard, which again is how do you know it's funny? You know, you're typing something, right? You're writing it and you're typing it, and right? Does that happen? Or do you call them up and say, hey, look, I wrote something that's really funny. You have to read it, and then they come back at you going, no.
I feel like we're not that ruthless to each other, but we have a general idea when we're like, yeah, let's maybe think on it a little more.
You can always tell when something you said like isn't that funny, and we just like kind of breeze past it and then like try to think of it.
Yeah, which is good. Like it's a good exercise and a good thing to get used to. It's taking criticism, and I think the three of us already being super close like makes it a little easier. You know, as we work with more like professional, writers, we're just getting more comfortable with, giving criticism and taking criticism. Because both, I think, are equally as difficult to do.
So, all right, the topic here is educational storytelling, right, where in natural habitat, fun facts, fun fictions. I know we mentioned at in the opening ceremonies, we talked about some of the weirdest facts. Do the facts dictate the cartoon? Or do you, again, right, that research thing, do you just sit down and write down all these kind of weird things and then go, oh, I can use that in this idea kind of thing? How does that process,
I think there's like two different ways it happens. One way is that we look at animal facts on Google and we say, that's a funny fact, and then attach a human moment to it. Or we attach like or find a relatable moment and then attach a fun fact to it. So yeah, either. And they kind of end up the same. But yeah, just looking at fun facts is such good inspiration. There's so many weird ones out there.
So what's your favorite animal?
I think a mole.
Yeah?
Yeah, I was big into moles as a kid.
Yeah, I got nothing. I
had a book about moles.
I would take it from the library. It wasn't my book.
Mine's a bat.
What's your favorite animal?
Bat.
Bat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I also like the hedgehog, Lisa. She's great too.
Well, and not just in your things, but just in general. What are your? I mean, are we going to get bigger animals in natural habitats?
That's always like a hard thing for us to. I guess it's more me to figure out as like the animator. Okay, so the most annoying thing about our videos is when we have more than 2 characters on a screen, because making horror or like vertical social media videos is so limiting when it comes to like your framing. And so it's always a nightmare when I have to fit like 3, 4 characters on that screen at once, and they always look so awkward, or they're like really tiny, or like it's some weirdly angled shot. We did a Halloween video last year, and there were so many characters in it, and I just hated every single shot that we ended up doing for it. But big animals, yeah. I'm not sure if they should be really big, like proportionally, or if every animal should just be roughly the same size.
So here's the bat, here's Lisa, and here's a jaguar, but it's a little jaguar.
Yeah, I don't, or like a whale. I don't know how that would work. That's why we kind of stick to animals that are all the same size.
I want to see a whale now. Do you guys want to see a whale? I think we challenge you. We, as a group, as a collective, we challenge you to put a whale into a cartoon in the next year.
What kind of whale, Jack?
What kind of whale?
What kind of whale?
Killer whales are in the news right now. What? What did somebody say? A sperm whale.
Got it.
The jokes just write themselves. All right, how did it go off the rail? I don't know. We started talking about sperm whales. I don't know. That's what happened. Okay. All right. Do you guys have any questions? Because we can just keep talking. We can just chat. But do you guys have any questions about anything? It looks like somebody's coming up to the microphone.
I guess it's on. I wanted to ask about sunk cost fallacy, since you guys work on a very tight schedule, it seems, and ideas get shot down at the writing stage, or ideas only get fulfilled at the last few hours before sending. And I wanted to ask, is there ever a situation where you have to, you got halfway through, there's assets made, everything, and it just doesn't work? So you have to, do you start all over again, or do you just try to power through and just make it work? I guess that's what I wanted to ask.
I'm trying to think. There's definitely been a video that we've changed, a couple videos that we've changed completely halfway through, but I can't think of which one it was.
There's a lot of videos that I'm personally not happy with. I wouldn't say a lot, but there's a few of them. And I think those are videos where, because to be honest, most of the videos we do, as we're working on them, we're just kind of we'll make it funnier by the end. We just kind of keep pushing through and hoping it'll be funnier by the end of the video. But sometimes we don't find that, or we don't feel like we found that. And we have this one specific video that, to be honest, I don't think I'm super happy with even the final version we ended up doing. It's the one with all the raccoons coming out of the bathroom. And that wasn't even the original idea. That's how not good this video was.
The original idea was that there's a raccoon dog, and there's also raccoons. So we were going to have...
It was a... Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, a character be confused and think that the raccoon dog was a raccoon's dog, like a dog owned by a raccoon. And it just became so complicated.
It was like a rabbit that was seeing a raccoon dog next to a raccoon, and he thought that the raccoon dog was the pet of the raccoon, but they're just two people that are at the bus stop. And then at the end of the video, it just turns out that, it's so hard.
See, even this explanation is convoluted. The video itself would have just been equally as convoluted.
Yeah, luckily we didn't start animating that one. That was in the storyboard stage, and we've kind of stopped doing the storyboard stage as much because we just have to start animating sooner. So. Yeah,
we figured out that if we just wing it as we go, we can get the videos out faster.
What's your process? You said you're the animator, so what kind of software do you use? How quickly can you turn stuff around if you have to make a change like that? What kind of software? What kind of tools, materials?
What's your secret?
What's your secret?
I love this question because it means I get to talk about my favorite software in the world, Blender 3D. Ooh. And if any of you guys are aspiring 3D animators, I would suggest it because it's free and it's open source and there's a million tutorials online, and we're going to have a workshop tomorrow and we're going to go into it a little bit, not a ton, but if you're interested in 3D or animation in general, because Blender also does 2D animation. That's how good it is. And so that's the software I use to animate. And Nicole does the backgrounds in that software. Sometimes she does the characters in that software. I do the characters in the software too. Everything's 3D, if you didn't know. And we have toon shaders to kind of give it a more hand-drawn look. But we edit in Adobe After Effects, which you should not edit in. It's not an editing software.
I like it. I don't know any better.
You should edit in a different program, like Final Cut or Premiere or Windows Movie Maker. I don't even know if that's around anymore. iMovie.
DaVinci Resolve.
DaVinci Resolve. That's around. I know that.
It's free, too. So.
Oh, is it really? Oh,
absolutely.
Nice. Okay.
I figure if you were using free Blender, then we'd throw in a free editing software.
That's a really, like...
It's incredibly powerful.
Yeah, that's a very powerful editing software. There you go. Do you want to work for a natural habitat?
Yeah, sure. We'll talk after the panel.
But yeah, we do a lot of compositing. So like we have to put the background in, then we put the 3D characters in, and then we have like foreground objects like tables and food or shopping carts, and that's a different layer on that. And then we have effects that we put on the characters to kind of give them that boil, is what it's called in 2D. It's just that little kind of jiggle effect, if you know what I'm talking about. And so it's just easier for us to do all our editing in After Effects because we have to do so much compositing anyway.
Right, we have a question.
Yeah, so I have a question. What is your favorite video that you have created and you still look at it to this day and it's like, yeah, this is the one?
I think the first airport one we did with the possums, that one, I was on a flight with a baby, and I thought, what if there were more babies? And it was awful. So yeah, it was based on a real life experience, and that's why I like it.
I really like the frog Gregorio one. I think that one really got me. Just seeing it go to an actual frog face and noise was phenomenal. And it was a Florida bullfrog, right? Like the noise you picked for it, right? Something about that was just cool too. The detail on that. And then of course, just coming up with the ending, just having him go, yeah, was amazing. Because the way that came to be was so, like, I just remember us sitting on the couch coming up with that. We were just like, we should just have like the mouse yell something at the end. And then Brennan just immediately just goes, yeah! Like, we're just like, all right, there we go. So everything about that one to me was just like, mwah.
Okay, so my favorite for a weird reason is the one with the lazy river and the beaver, because I had to go out and buy a whistle. And in the video, there's two lifeguards that are like trying to stop the beaver. And so they're both blowing their whistle. And I just had to go outside and blow this whistle really aggressively for a really long time in just like weird different ways.
In the middle of New York City.
In the middle of New York City. And so that was very fun to do. But my favorite video to animate, I think, was the one with the marmot and the haunted mansion. It's like a ride. Okay, that one was also fun to do because we actually didn't want to scream as loud as the character screams, so we rented a booth in Times Square, and it was only like $40. It was like a professional recording booth, and I just got to scream in this booth for like an hour. But it was really fun to animate because like it was really colorful and there's like ghosts popping up and down and it was like a spooky scene. So that was fun.
Nice. Question.
Yeah, hello. So my question is, do you voice your own characters or are there other people that come in and help you? And how does the whole voicing process look like?
I think I just answered that, but no, it's a great question. We all voice the characters for the most part. We do have friends that come in from time to time. We've had a guest voiced actor, the voice of Ash Ketchum from Pokemon, actually voiced the character, and that was so exciting. She reached out to us and just wanted to be a part of it. but Tyler does some amazing voices.
Thank you. Yeah, if there's like a grandma involved or a very motherly character, I usually take that on. I'm proud to. What else? Oh yeah. Oh, my coworker's daughter did the voice of what was it? A lizard?
Oh yeah, the lizard, Ashley.
Yeah, Ashley, the little lizard. So yeah, I reached out to my coworker. I'm like, we need a 10-year-old girl to voice this lizard. We don't want to like have one of us do it. And so, yeah, might have been child labor, but no. We gave them gifts after, and she was so happy to do it, and we were so happy that she absolutely killed it. So I think that was also like a fun experience for us, just like like actually getting a child to do this.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, sometimes I voice kids in the videos, but I was afraid of voice acting for a really long time, so I didn't start doing it until recently.
Also, I just want to say that the reason we mostly do our own voices is because our deadline and our process is so hectic. And like when we do work with voice actors, like it's usually like just at a random time, I'm like, I need this line now. And then it's like, if I was just voicing this myself, like this, we could keep moving. And it's obviously not the actor's fault at all. They should not be at our beck and call, but it's just like the hectic way we work.
Yeah, we don't want to have to message them at 2 a.m. to ask for something for the next day.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for coming here. I was following you for some time, and it was nice to see you here in Vilnius. But I have like a particular question, like a hypothetical question. Imagine if you are like approached by a big studio and you say, we want a pilot, for 20 minutes or an hour. I just wondered, has that happened? And the second question, would you willing to commit for such a longer length, because your videos are, short? So I'm just interested if...
We have not been asked to make anything like that yet, but we have been pretty much since the beginning, like working on a pitch for a longer form show, and hopefully, we'll pitch it eventually.
Go ahead.
Hello, thank you so much for coming here. It's really, really exciting to meet you in person. Could you go, if possible, a little more in detail about your writing process? Do you think of a situation or a scenario first and then think, okay, how do we make this funny? We need to write the jokes. Or do the jokes come first and then you write some context for it? Please share your secrets. Thank you.
I think a lot of times we come up with the jokes after, but that's a good question. Sometimes we just have a joke and that like creates the rest of the video, but it's always a fun fact or a relatable situation first.
Yeah, I think the funniest parts of the video, at least normally, are the ones that we come up with later after it's kind of built out, especially the endings. Most of the time our endings are not there yet, but we're just like, this is a good steady ground, to start building something out. And then usually the last, like, we call it like the zinger, just like the last joke of the video usually comes at the last second. And, we try to end it on just like a weirder, funny, absurd note, which to us, at least to me, I think is, like the funniest moment.
Yeah, I definitely think like it just varies so much from video to video. We had one video where we were like, this is not working, and it was kind of long. And so we just put a cut here, we put a cut here, we deleted everything in between, and then it just made it funny because there was just like this weird, awkward moment and then this like abrupt chaos, which is like kind of just the joke in most videos. And it was just like, oh, okay, that's the natural habitat video. Thanks.
Hey guys, thanks for being here. It's great to see you. I have a question regarding your situational and character creation. Where did the idea for the mouth came from, and who is the sick mind behind these more twisted moments?
You.
I definitely wasn't the whole video, but the mouth, him saying mouth, I thought would be funny. Brennan does the voice, though.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was so long ago.
Okay, I remember it. I didn't want to keep talking. You remember?
No, I mean, I remember you guys coming out to tell me about it, and I'm like, that is the funniest thing I've ever heard. Just like the paper or plastic and just mouth.
Yeah, I mean, the joke was basically just like, I mean, you've seen the video. I don't need to explain it, but I don't know, Nicole thought of this character that just said mouth because they don't use a paper bag or a plastic grocery bag, and they use their mouth. And I don't think we like really thought it was that funny at the time. And that's a weird video because, so we did our first 2 videos and, you know, people liked them and we were like shocked. And we didn't have a 3rd video done. And so
we were scrambling.
We weren't even home. We were visiting family in Florida. So we didn't even really have our computers. And so I had to like remotely log into my computer from our home. And I was like, you know, animating this video that we didn't know how it was going to work. And Tyler was also prevising the versions of it. We were just playing with anything to figure out what this was going to be.
There was a longer version where mouth is on the ceiling, and we cut that and used it in the next mouth video, and just made it like him bite the rabbit's hand instead.
Yeah, the Halloween video with Mouth, where he's like in the ghost costume and then he's on the ceiling, that was actually a lot of repurposed like ideas and even animation from a much longer cut of the original Mouth video. And so, yeah, it was like the Mouth would bite the rabbit's hand at the cash register, and then the rabbit like breaks free. And then he like gets up and he notices that Mouth isn't there anymore. And then he looks up on the ceiling and Mouth is on the ceiling of the grocery store and he falls on him. And we were like, this is just too long. Like, we need to make this shorter. And I don't even remember how we ended up on this demonic.
Yeah, we were trying to find that balance between, because like our first 2 videos are more like relatable situations. And this one was going into a more cartoonish, like demonic territory. And we were like, is this too just different, yeah. You know? So I think we were able to tone it back enough, you know, but still have like, at the very least, like the music shift. You know, I think that's what helped a lot, instead of having Mouth do something like insanely, you know, cartoonish.
Yeah, and I think the please take your receipt thing, I think that brings it back a little bit more to relatability.
Totally.
Which I was going to ask, because you're on such tight deadlines, do you either, if you come up with something very quickly, do you do it and put it aside for a rainy day? Do you you said you reused and repurposed, but do you have built into like After Effects, like in animation, like walk cycles or things like that you can just grab and throw into a cartoon, so you don't have to animate everything?
Yeah. Like I said, we're insanely disorganized. So usually when I'm grabbing an asset, it's got a ton of animation from a previous video on it. I don't have like folders with like, oh, this is our weasel, this is our bat, this is, you know, Lisa. Like, it's just like, oh, I need Lisa. Let me think of the last video that Lisa was in. And then I import her from that file into a new one. And it's like, of course, she has all the old animation from the last video. But it's gotten to the point that like, yeah, usually I can like manage to find a walk cycle somewhere in there, and I just like copy and paste the keyframes if I need to make it longer. So there's a lot of that, but it's done in a really janky way.
Fair enough. But do you ever bank an episode, like for holidays or things like that? Will you bank an episode or 2, or did you just
No, we should, but I don't think
feel like we do. I feel like we come up with ideas.
Like ideas, yeah.
Oh yeah, no, this would work better. Like we have an idea about like a baby bird that wants to eat a worm, but some baby birds like will just expect the worm to hop in their mouth when their mom doesn't feed them, and they'll just open their mouth up at a bird. And we're like, oh, like that could be a good Thanksgiving episode.
Yeah, we always have like ideas in the back of our minds, but never like fully finished videos or anything like that.
And then as far as jokes go, do you ever like you're sitting around watching TV, just, you know, hanging out, and somebody says something and the other goes, okay, that's it, we're using that. Does that ever happen?
I think we'll say that would be a good video sometimes. but I don't know if we ever really use them.
I think it's almost the opposite. We'll like watch something and we'll be like, we did something similar to that. You know, I think, yeah, we try our best not to mimic, you know, something that's...
Well, not even something
like,
but just when you're talking. Like, you know, you're hanging out at the booth here and you're talking and somebody says something funny.
So, someone came to our booth and told us that the Great Emu War of Australia would make a funny video. And they're so right. I can't believe we didn't think of that. That's awesome. They were saying like the emu could have like a war, like a PTSD war flashback, you know? How did we not think of that?
That's perfect. So if there are no further questions, we are actually out of time. We have hit our time. Does anybody have any last minute questions? I'm going to go with no.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you guys for coming. Thank you guys for coming. Natural Habitat shorts. Watch them.